Hey guys, I'm Chef Marga from the Bite-Sized Kitchen. So for today, we're doing a heritage recipe, and it's actually disputed as a national dish. Some say it is, others say it isn't. I don't know about you, but to me, it's my favorite dish. This is a series of adobo recipes that we're going to be showing you through different videos. So the adobo that we're doing today is a basic adobo. It's called Adobong Puti, or in English, white adobo. Of course. Why? Because this type of adobo does not use soy sauce. It was done during pre-colonial times, even before the Chinese merchants came to the Philippines and introduced the use of soy sauce to us. So the basic ingredients here with adobong puti is just garlic, black pepper whole, bay leaves, fish sauce, and the most important ingredient, which is vinegar. Before the Spanish came here, the Filipinos were already doing this kind of method, which is actually a marinade of vinegar and salt. To preserve different types of meat. So when they came here and when the Spaniards found out that we were doing this kind of method, they were happy because they realized that it was something that we had in common with them. I'm just going to recap all of the ingredients for you. We have our minced garlic. We have our bay leaves or laurel. We have whole peppercorns, fish sauce or patis. And then, of course, we have our chicken, and the parts of the chicken that we chose are red meat, bone-in, and the most important ingredient of all, the vinegar. Okay, so I'm gonna start off by turning on my induction cooker and heating the pan on low to medium heat. I'm going to pour in a little bit of my oil. You don't want to put a lot of oil because the type of meat that you'll be using right now has a lot of fat in it. And later on, when you start cooking it, all its fat will come out, and so you don't want to add more to that. Okay, so we're gonna start off by sautéing our garlic. As I mentioned earlier, during the time when we were colonized by the Spaniards, they found out that adobo was also a method that we use to preserve our meats. We're sautéing our garlic. Until it gives off this very, very fragrant aroma. I like to add some of my herbs together with my garlic, which is the bay leaves. You know how you release more flavor out of the dried herbs when it comes in contact with the heat. So that's what I'm doing now. Okay, so next I'm going to put in my chicken. So this method or this combination cooking method is called braising. So braising is actually putting in your dry ingredients first and then cooking it on high heat and then adding in your wet ingredients and letting it simmer for a really long time. Now, this type of cooking is good for affordable or cheaper cuts of meat. As I mentioned earlier, we chose red meat and bone-in, and it still has, as you can see, it has a lot of connective tissues. And for you to break down all of these connective tissues and make it tender, what you need to do is you need to simmer it for a really long time on low heat so that it becomes tender, but then the juices are still intact. Okay? So now I'm putting in my chicken. Okay. And what I'm doing is I'm just searing in all of the flavor. Sige, let's just sear this some more. By this time, it's already okay for you to season your meat. Because this wasn't seasoned before putting it in the
pan, or before cooking it in the pan, I haven't seasoned it yet. So now I'm just... So when you're cooking chicken with bone and you start to saute the meat or you start to sear the meat, you'll see that there will be some blood that will ooze out of the chicken, and it's okay. When that happens, it means that the meat is almost cooked, though it's not as tender yet, so it needs a little bit more time. So I think this is ready. We're just gonna put in the vinegar, okay? And when you do put in the vinegar, what we're going to do is we're just gonna let it, kumbaga chill ka lang. Don't touch it, just let it simmer. There you go. This is the proper way of cooking vinegar. Once you pour it in the pan, you're not supposed to touch it and you're not supposed to stir it because you have to cook it correctly. You have to give it enough time to reduce or to simmer so that yung sabi nga nila, para tama yung pagkaluto ng suka. So now, we're ready to cover this and to just wait it out. This will cook for about 12 to 15 minutes, again, depending on how big or how small your meat parts are. Here, wait, let me just check if the vinegar is already cooked. One of the ways on how you can check if your vinegar is cooked already is if you try to take a whiff of the aroma. If the smell gets here and gets here, probably it's not yet cooked all the way through. The second way to check it is to taste it. Never use the sauté spoon that you use to cook, okay? Always use another spoon to check. So, there. I can see that the oil or the fats from the chicken has already oozed out and is actually like simmering in together with the vinegar and the spices. Okay? Not yet cooked, but almost done. I'm just gonna add a little bit of water. Okay, because this is going to take a little bit longer because, as I've mentioned, the chicken parts are really big. At this point, I'm going to add in my black peppercorns. I'm still not going to saute it. I'm still not gonna touch it. I'm just gonna let it simmer and I'm just gonna cover it. At this point, I'm already gonna add a little bit of my fish sauce. So just a little bit to make sure that it doesn't get too salty. Again, it's better to put a little in for the meantime, let it simmer, and then put a little bit more rather than dump everything in. That is the secret. Okay, so now I'm just going to cover this again and wait a few more minutes before I taste it and check if my chicken is cooked. Now it's time for me to taste it and see if it's already cooked. Okay, so I think it's almost done. Just maybe letting it simmer for 5 more minutes and then turning this off, and you can already serve this with rice, or you know, in our home we like to serve our adobo with a side of tomatoes and salted egg. Sarap! If you want to see more of our recipes and if you want to see more of the adobo series, just, well, like this video first and then subscribe to our channel. Happy cooking!